Hello everyone, welcome back to Beyond the Veil Tarot and Astrology. My name is Candace Marie. Thanks for joining me. Happy Friday. I hope you guys are doing well. We're going to be doing live readings on the channel this evening. Give everybody a little bit of time so they can kind of filter in and see that we're going live. But in the meantime, give me a thumbs up if you can see the stream. And also consider clicking the bell button below so you are alerted as to when I have other videos coming out on the channel. How's it going? Wow, Mercury's going direct. Praise the cosmos. I'm excited to be doing readings. Such a powerful time to be doing readings with Mercury going direct, getting some clarity. We're going to be doing donation-based tarot readings this week. So if you guys would like to get a reading, you can get in the queue. You can scan this QR code up here. So if you're watching on a tablet or if you're watching on your desktop, you can scan that with your phone. It'll take you directly to my PayPal where you can make a donation. $20 for one card, $40 for four. Please make sure you put your question in the memo box in PayPal. So it'll have like a little box where you can put a note. Let me know whatever question you have in particular so I can better understand what the cards are trying to tell me. My, it is busy. What's up, Paula? I'm happy to do your monthly reading for you. Let me add you to my list. I've got a number of people who are already here. Paul is a level 3 member, so if you are interested in getting a reading every month, it's a part of my level 3 membership. Consider joining my memberships if you want to support my work as a full-time content creator on YouTube. We've got new moons and full moon videos, really long monthly horoscopes, and much more in between. So make sure you check that out if you would like to get a reading once a month. We do the level 3 people first. Let me know what your question is. What's up, Kurt? Just want to say I love you all. 1111. Let's get this money. I like that. Until I get to Paula's reading, so you just let me know what your question is, Paula. I've got a list of people here who are already signed in. So it's like, looks like we've got Elora, we have got Vanessa, Heba, Karen. Do we have anybody else? And is there any other level 3 people? Shout me out. Let me know if you're here. Happy to do your reading for you guys. We'll keep the window open for a little bit so whoever wants to kind of filter in can get a reading. Tizia, I like that. We've also got a link here if it's easier for you guys to sign up. And as a reminder, before I even get into it, because I know that there are some people who are not always on YouTube, I have a webinar that I'm doing on Sunday. At some point, we'll post a link. But the webinar is going to be Sunday, kind of late morning, midday, on the eclipses coming in October. So tomorrow's going to be the last day to sign up for it. If you guys are interested in being there, it's going to be a couple hours long. I'm going to talk all about the eclipses, what they mean, why they're so significant, how they're going to be impacting us. We're going to talk about areas in the world it's going to be impacting, how to work with it, and rituals, recommendations, and all the 12 signs predictions. I'm getting in the habit of putting that stuff out like a month before things happen. If you guys saw my Venus retrograde webinar, it's very similar to that. So it's going to be really in-depth on the transit and putting it out a little bit early, so you guys can check that out on my website. All right, Paula says, just pull cards. You got it, boss. Let's take a look. Let's see what these cards say for Paula and what she needs to be aware of right now. I might switch this deck. Let's see. This deck has been real sassy today. Might need to remove the Moldavite from the deck. would not recommend. All right, so let's see what the cards say for Paula. We're just going to do a general reading. Ooh, I want that one in this order. So we've got 5 of Swords, Queen of Cups, King of Swords. To me, this is a lot of like learning to balance out air and water energies, emotion and intellect, feelings and communication and ideas, being able to get on the same page. We've got a king and a queen coming up. So Queen of Cups can be talking about you. It can be talking about you and your emotions and your feelings, what you're tapped into, what you're nurturing, what your intuition is telling you. It can also be about a connection that you have to another water sign. So Cancer, Pisces, Scorpio. And then the King of Swords can be talking about the connection that you have to an air sign. So it can be a Libra or an Aquarius or a Gemini. Now, whenever I see a king and a queen, I'm always quick to be like, this could be a relationship situation. This could be a partnership situation. This can involve a man and a woman, or you and another person. Five of Swords comes up in the past position. So, you know, when the Five of Swords comes up, there has already been some challenges revolving around communication, some issues in terms of getting an idea across or coming to a mutual understanding. There could have been a conflict or a little bit of strife, a little bit of a squabble. And Swords deal with how we think. It deals with also anxiety, stress. Sometimes it is about not seeing eye to eye with another person. In this particular card, we see people walking away from a fight. So it means that you're kind of working in the direction of trying to better relate to another person. You're trying to kind of get along a little bit better. The next card that would come would be the Six of Swords, which is about kind of being in transition and going through a bit like of a shift. So I'm wondering if you're looking at a situation in a relationship, or maybe a relationship that you have with another man or a superior, where you're like, we are not seeing eye to eye. There's no point in like pushing back. I have to listen to my intuition. I have to let that guide me, and really point me in the direction of like how to better master this conversation or communications moving forward. It can also mean that you're kind of taking like a wait and see approach, because cups are more receptive and feminine and swords are a lot more action oriented. So maybe you're kind of like looking at like a relationship dynamic with somebody you're in a relationship with, or maybe somebody who you work with, and you're like, I know if I just give this some space, this person's going to come around. It doesn't really need to be something that I need to push or challenge right now. Maybe you're feeling like you've been stressed, needing to kind of follow up on a conversation or have some kind of understanding with someone, and you're deciding to like let this take a bit of a back seat and letting that person approach you, or letting things kind of calm down a little bit and then letting them kind of come to you and say, okay, you know, do you want to talk about it? Or this is what I've been thinking. Especially if you're dealing with somebody who's been a little difficult in trying to kind of see your perspective. Because the Queen of Cups is more about her emotions and her feelings versus the King of Swords, which is like business, communication, contracts, negotiations. Like he's more orderly, and it's a masculine energy, so it's much more about action. So if you're kind of looking at things going like, okay, dealing with a boss or like dealing with a partner, like I'm not going to push the situation. They need to come to terms on their own time. I'm going to let that happen on its own without me feeling like I need to kind of push the river. On the other hand, this can also mean that there can be some stress or feeling like a little bit blocked when it comes to getting your point across with another person. Maybe you feel like you've been too understanding, or you've been too passive, or you've been too quiet, and you really want to talk about something, but you're afraid that it's going to kind of rock the boat. This can be an indication that you're moving from being kind of receptive and patient to being much more direction oriented and assertive, and telling somebody exactly what's on your mind and kind of getting the point across, and like ensuring that you're doing it in a way that's not about conflict. It's more about being like, look, this is what it is. This is my boundary. This is my limit. I can't do any more than X, Y, and Z, and just being very matter of fact with someone, and accepting that and kind of integrating that side of you. It's interesting because I know that you're a Gemini rising, so I'm wondering if this is just more about like learning how to lean more into being assertive with communication. I know Saturn's kind of going through your whole sign 10, so a lot of it can be about dealing with superiors, bosses, and it can also be about asserting yourself, right, out in the world or when it comes to the workplace. So I think maybe you're kind of shifting what it means to stand up for yourself and communicate for yourself more clearly, and like feeling like it doesn't mean that you're being mean. It doesn't mean that you're being bossy. It just means that you need to kind of get the words out, because maybe in the past, not saying something has kind of brought about, more challenges than actually stepping up and saying what's on your mind to begin with. Okay. Good luck with that transition. It does to me look like you're waiting for somebody else to initiate this though. So it's kind of like, okay, I'll wait till they come to terms with things, and then when they decide to talk to me about it, then we can chat. But the Queen's kind of got her back turned to the King, so she's waiting for kind of somebody to come back around and initiate that chat. Good luck, Paula. Thank you for being a level 3 member. I appreciate it. What's up, KK? Happy Friday. Thank you. I have got you. Let me see. Let me update this. I have to kind of update it every so often. All right. Firella. Am I saying that correctly? I got you. Matthew. I got you too. All right, let's kind of pivot. Elora, I don't know if you're here live, but I got your email. I think you're in a different time zone. I think you're ahead of me. Your email said, hey Candace, I paid this morning for a 1-card reading. I'm not sure what time you're going live. It says a few hours from now. So if you're watching the playback, this is for you. You got a 1 card, unless you're here. If you're here, let me know. I will pull a card for you. Otherwise, I will give you a general pull, tell you what I see. All right. So this is for you, Elora. Ooh. Oh, it's going to be one of those days. There's Mr. King of Swords again. Can you guys tell it's almost Libra season? Can you guys tell Mars is in Libra? People are kind of like... obviously had to do a confirmation card. So we've got King of Swords coming up with Ace of Cups. So to me, this is the confirmation. So your King of Swords is about being direct in a conversation, being direct in getting the point across. It can be about initiating contracts, learning something, asserting yourself in some way. Swords are meant to be used in 2 different ways. One, to be defensive. On the other hand, it's also to direct your energy, to draw a line. Watch for Geminis, Aquariuses, and Libras that can be coming in, or a direct conversation you're having with another male individual. This can also be about you going, I'm wrapping my head around something, I'm becoming more fixated in my views, my belief systems, and being more assertive, right? So when the King of Swords comes up, sometimes we have to initiate a conversation. Sometimes we have to issue a contract. Sometimes we have to kind of get snippy with somebody and be like, enough is enough, no more of this. What's interesting is your confirmation card that you got is the Ace of Cups. So this is basically saying getting on track with what the heart needs, being able to better express and communicate clearly what your non-negotiables are when it comes to your love life, or when it comes to your emotions, or when it comes to your feelings. Could it mean that there's a new potential romantic connection on the horizon with an air sign man? Yes, it could mean that. So definitely looking out for those air sign individuals that can pop up. It might mean that you have to have a heart-to-heart conversation with somebody, right? Because we've got that Ace of Cups coming up, which means new opportunities in relationships, new opportunities in love, turning something over, like starting a new cycle. Generally, the Ace of Cups can talk about seasons. So in particular, this would be like water sign season. So like Scorpio season, Pisces season, these would be the next 2 to kind of come up. And I'm wondering if this is about you initiating a new relationship based off of telling somebody exactly what you want and exactly what you're looking for. And being very clear about what it is that you need emotionally in order to be able to kind of engage with someone. So if you're single, be on the lookout. This can be an indication somebody's coming in. If there's a pressing matter that's kind of been like weighing heavily on you, maybe having a difficult conversation, telling somebody how you feel, getting the point across because these emotions are coming up, that can also be coming up for you in this reading here as well, okay? Hopefully that message reaches you. Let me know. You can always leave me a comment. Every now and then I see you guys kind of come back around and leave me comments after you get your readings. I hope that that's helpful for you. We've got Vanessa. What's up, Vanessa? Are you here? Vanessa, let me update this. So Vanessa says, there we go. Vanessa says, hey, I need your guidance on how to approach my daughter's dad with child support and increase. Bottom line, he's paid the same amount for 15 years and I need some more help. Do I approach him directly or go straight through the court? Side note, he hasn't seen our daughter in 6 months. They had a falling out and she told him she wanted nothing to do with him. but nonetheless, I still need financial assistance with her. Question number 2, does my daughter have an eating disorder? I'm asking out of major concern. Can you tell me what the cards say and how you feel and how to approach it without upsetting her? What's up? Thank you, Laura. I will update my list in just a second. Hey, Vanessa. All right, so how to best handle the situation with her dad and child support. Should she go directly through him or through the court? Well, here's the deal. King of Pentacles crossed with the Four of Wands. King of Pentacles seems to indicate that like he's got the capabilities and the wherewithal of being able to better provide, right? King of Pentacles can be talking about a Capricorn, a Virgo, or a Taurus. On one hand, it's somebody who's willing to do that, like it's somebody who's capable. But on the other hand, this can also be a card that comes up that wants something in exchange. So it's like, okay, I'm going to put forth the resources, but it's going to be like, what am I getting out of it? Like that can come up with this card because he's going to see something as transactional because it's an earth sign. This is also a card that's about what's going to bring him fulfillment, what's going to make him feel the most comfortable, what's going to, like what's the outcome going to be if he decides to kind of make that move. So it is possible that he's willing to do it, but he's like, okay, but what's going on with my relationship with her? So there can be a sense of there being a little bit of back and forth about that. Maybe if it was like Page of Pentacles, I'd be like, he's going to be stingy. So I'm not really getting that impression. I feel like if you have reason to be like, look, I really need help and assistance. Can you help me? I think he would be willing to do that, but be prepared that you may potentially have to state your case or actually show him physical evidence and prove why you're actually needing more assistance. Obviously, like, you know, cost of living goes up every year, expenses are going up, so it's not unreasonable for you to be asking. In general, though, with the King of Coins coming up with the Four of Wands, it means that you can go through him. Likely he will be able to do it. I'm not necessarily saying he'll be receptive, but it does look like if you are needing there to be some kind of change, especially when it comes with fours, which is like, you know, home and the necessities within, you know, your daughter's life. I definitely think that that's something that he can help with. But be mindful that he's going to potentially want some kind of exchange or want some kind of proof. Okay, so if it's a situation where they're not seeing each other as much, don't be surprised if he's like, you want me to help, but I don't really have a relationship with her. That definitely can happen because kings are very matter of fact when it comes to their particular element. So yeah, I would say go through him first. If you're needing to go through getting money from another person and you're not getting them to be reasonable with you, like if they're not working with you, wait until planets are getting into like your 8th house. So you might decide, okay, you know, from let's say early January through February of 2024, that's when you would kind of go back to the drawing board if you needed to go through the court system. It would be that. In regards to the eating disorder, the eating habits thing, for starters, if I remember correctly, your daughter's got Pluto that's hovering around, I know, her first house and her sun, but I believe it's somewhere near her moon. Double check on that. I would say, you know, when the High Priestess comes up, it basically means like whatever your intuition is telling you, whatever messages are coming up for you, like generally there's some kind of connection there, right? So if you're feeling it, especially if you're feeling like it's something that's being hidden, that's definitely something that might potentially be going on. And this is also about approaching the situation in a way that's about not necessarily taking like visible action, right? It's not like rushing up to her and being like, tell me what's going on, you know, like, you know, why are you hiding this from me? It's more kind of like paying attention to her habits and her patterns, like observing her, like finding the opportune time to like go in and, you know, sit down and be like, hey, how are you feeling? What's going on? It's kind of like a covert way of connecting with her and trying to put the pieces together. I do also feel like when this comes up, the High Priestess is generally somebody who's waiting for somebody to come and ask her a question. So obviously eating disorders are super complex. Like it can be, you know, different from person to person. But this card in particular makes me feel like there can be a lot of fluctuations that are going on with her that is affecting her mood. So she might be noticing changes in her eating patterns based off of what's going on with her mood or her hormones, because this is a card that's associated with like feminine cycles. It may also be talking about that she's doing this subconsciously because it's a cry for help, you know, that she's going through these patterns where she's having fluctuations in her eating habits because she's hoping somebody's going to notice, because she's really wanting somebody to reach out and say, hey, you know, do you need something? Like, how can I help you? So it's about being in tune with that. I wonder also if it's like observing what's going on at night, because this can also be like a nighttime card. So do you feel like you're not seeing her eat all day, and you're worried about her eating habits, and then you know aren't really observing her at night, but then you realize, well, she's eating when I'm not around. Okay, so maybe it's not as bad as I thought. Obviously, you have to listen to your intuition with this card. So I do feel like there is something going on that is happening beneath the surface subconsciously that is bothering her. But she might be waiting for you to say something, right? In regards to the situation with Dad, I mean, because the Four of Wands was coming up, I feel like it's going to be about how there's potentially been some changes on the home front. So if you have had changes in your expenses, with rent, with, anything that's like cost, you know, relating to, you know, where she's living, I would approach him and be like, look, this has been coming up and this is what's been happening. And you might approach it as something where you're like, I need help, you know, until these situations kind of fix themselves or work themselves out. So if you're experiencing a temporary period, Four of Wands can be temporary, of having extra expenses, you can let him know. And if not, then I would just say to him, like, you know, like I've got these things going on that are more costly, and I need your help around the home. But I think he's going to want some physical proof. Yeah, so if you're catching her actually doing something, I mean, the High Priestess is what is being hidden, obviously, right? So I would also say the other way of combating this is like sitting down and asking her, like, are you okay? Like, is there anything going on that you want to talk to me about? Obviously, you know, really, really complex. Like, eating disorders can sometimes go hand in hand with Pluto transits, because it can be about purging and detoxification and clearing for emotional or psychological levels. So if that's something that you think is going on, I would definitely recommend talking to somebody, because sometimes the High Priestess can be a healer, it can be a therapist, it can be somebody who can come in that can kind of help work with her in private to get a better understanding of what she's got going on. But it's pretty safe to say that whatever is happening, it's something that's being hidden. And it sounds like your intuition is telling you like something's off, like, and giving you constant confirmations that she's doing something that could potentially be harmful to her. So if that's the case, I would say, you know, you can only check in with her so much before not getting an answer, and then having to take the necessary steps to really make sure, probably with a medical professional, that she's not participating or doing anything that could be harmful to her personally, right? But yeah, especially if more comes up for you where you're like, I feel like this is going to happen, or I feel like that's going to happen. Like, if you feel like something is progressively getting worse, you have to listen to this, because the High Priestess is just kind of like, she's not somebody who's going to do nothing. She's going to wait until her instincts kick in, and then she's going to like tell somebody, you know, what she thinks, or like give somebody kind of a bit of advice. So I definitely recommend like being on top of that. And if you feel like you need to have a heart-to-heart with her, approach it in a way that's non-confrontational, because the High Priestess wants to be able to provide support and insight. And I know from what I remember with her chart, those Pluto transits can be a way of her like dealing with pain. Right? So if she's dealing with a painful situation, especially if she's going through a period of not having much of a relationship with her dad, she can be experiencing some really painful emotions, and that can be a way that she's processing it. So you want to make sure that you're getting ahead of it, so it's not turning into something that she's struggling with, you know, lifelong wise. All in all, though, the cards, both of the cards in both situations are quite positive, and it does seem to indicate that there is an ability to get clarity and get assistance with both of them. I wonder if she would be willing to talk to somebody, just to, you know, set her up if she's not feeling as comfortable talking to you about it. And you definitely want to catch it early if that's something that she's dealing with. So I'm sending you guys lots of good vibes in the midst of that. That can be really stressful, obviously, you know, having a daughter that's going through that. But yeah, definitely talk to dad about that, because cost of living goes up, man. People don't go 15 years without getting a raise, right? It just doesn't happen. So it's probably important to talk to him about that. And if you have to do something, I would say you want to wait until Aquarius season. Hopefully that's helpful. What's up, Haiti? Let's see. Just signed up for a 1-card reading. Gotcha. We've got Heba. Heba's back. She says, Hi, I'm Heba. I'm an Aries. I had a reading 3 weeks ago that someone new is coming along that might be long-term when the full moon is in Leo. Can you pull 3 cards about that person and tell me more about him? Maybe how I'll meet him, or if I already did or not. How to know that it's them. Thank you. All right, Heba, let's see if we can see any more about this mystery man coming. You're welcome, Vanessa. Good luck. All right, Heba, let's see what the cards say about this person. Ooh. Okay, so for starters, I'm kind of getting the impression maybe it's possible they're like a May, June, Gemini, Taurus, okay? I'm not like a cusp sign person, but when major arcana cards come up, it can be an indication of like the actual sign or the timing. So the Lovers card and the Hierophant can be talking about that bridge between late May and early June, okay? So that can be like their sun sign or maybe like sun, moon, rising, some connection between Taurus and Gemini. Okay, so for starters, I love the Lovers card coming up with the Hierophant. I feel like that is talking about like a divine union. Sometimes the Lovers card talks about temptation and like whether or not you're going to give into temptation. It can talk about more than one person. But with this kind of partnering up with the Hierophant, I feel like it's about divine union and timing, like meeting somebody who might reflect back certain traits that you might have. Like if you've had readings from me before, you know, like I'm not somebody who's like, oh, twin flame, like soulmates, like I'm not, and that's just not my bag. But when I see the Lovers card, which can talk about soul union and somebody who might be very similar to you and like reflect back that part of you that's missing, with the Hierophant, which is traditional, it's commitment, it can be about relationships that lead to marriage. It might mean that you meet somebody and you're like, I feel like this is my other half, or, you know, this person seems to have all of the qualities which I lack that I'm seeking. It's complementary. It can also mean that it starts off with like a very passionate exchange, that it's just like that person you can't take your eyes off of. It might feel like love at first sight. And then you realize there's something more here than just the physical attraction. Your values might be the same. This might be somebody also who's in a really prominent position professionally, career-wise. Sometimes the Hierophant is like doctors, lawyers, teachers, people who are considered to be highly regarded in society. They might give really good advice. It might also be that you're in the midst of getting relationship advice, or maybe some like superior, or maybe like you've got like an elder or like an older relative that's giving you advice about love. And then it's just like you meet somebody and something clicks. Like I have a feeling you'll have a conversation with an older, wiser person about dating and relationships. And then it's like you're gonna meet them and then they will start talking about certain things, right? Lovers, Gemini, or they'll start saying certain phrases and you're gonna be like, I feel like this is connected. Like this is a sign. Like we're supposed to be meeting. Like there will be some synchronicities that will be very similar between the two. And the Hierophant can also talk about, you know, realizing what it is that you do want with your life, and a lot of maturity and growth in relationships, and realizing that relationships are more than just that immediate gratification, the sexual connection, the romance, realizing that there's an opportunity to actually have a foundation and build with each other. And it might be somebody that gets you to kind of start thinking more about whether or not you would want to get married, and they might kind of show you and give you some kind of hope that there is a person out there for you, and it'll help you kind of believe in love again. Two of Wands makes me feel like it can also be at a time where you're more open and optimistic. Like it might mean that it's somebody that you wouldn't typically, you know, be attracted to, or that you wouldn't typically talk to, but it ends up kind of being like a connection. It might also be that you meet them while you're traveling, while you're going somewhere, okay, while you're in like limbo. So if you're going on a road trip for a weekend, or you're on the other side of town that you don't usually venture to. The Two of Wands means that you are open to adventure and options and choices and kind of doing something outside of your comfort zone and outside of your wheelhouse. So I would encourage you, especially because that full moon is going to come through like January, February of next year, right? I think we said full moon in Leo. Yeah, so it'll be in the new year. to be trying to do something around that time, right? When the full moon's in Leo, we're having fun, we're being romantic, we're being creative. Sounds kind of weird because it's like the dead of winter, right? But there's like still needing to get out there and find ways to have fun. And I think that you'll realize that even though it starts as a very passionate, quick connection, that there's a lot more to that connection than what meets the eye. And I'm hoping that you are just being a little bit more creative and getting outside of your comfort zone and being willing to maybe even go other places, because that's likely going to help you find that connection with that person, okay? Hopefully that's helpful for you. Maggie says, you would be so good as a therapist. Well, you know, fucked up people give the best advice. I should have been a therapist. I have Sun conjunct Pluto. I could have been a therapist, but this is more fun, right? It's very, very similar in a lot of ways. Let me know, Hiva. Come back around when Mr. Perfect shows up. I want to hear all about it. All right, so we have got Karen. Karen says, I am 10/11/66. What do I need to know? Thank you, Candace. Enjoy seeing your channel. Much love to you and your crew. Thank you, Karen. All right, so you're a Libra. Ooh, you're going to have that eclipse very, very close to your birthday, my dear. So that's something that I would be looking out for. South Node eclipse pretty close to your sun. Let's see what the cards have to say for you. What does Karen need to know? All right, so in this order, there it is, Libra, Justice card. So we've got Justice, Knight of Cups, and the King of Wands. Well, so Justice, Major Arcana card. This is a card that talks about balance, relationships, karma, cause and effect, making decisions, weighing out options. It can be addressing you personally, or it can be basically saying that this has been something that you have been kind of marinating on, thinking about recently. Justice can be about striking a balance with another person, okay? So relationships, counselors, therapists, astrologers, but also weighing something out. So it can be that you're going, well, do I want this or do I want that? The Knight of Cups coming up with the King of Wands is interesting because I kind of feel like this is about maybe approaching somebody and talking about your feelings. Knight of Cups can be talking about a water sign, so it can be a Cancer, Scorpio, or Pisces. But it can also be talking about an opportunity, something that's being recommended to you. So it might mean that somebody's saying, hey, take a chance. Do you want to go out with me? And you're like, I don't know, we'll see. It can also mean that you've been thinking about your feelings for another person and you're wanting to kind of have a conversation with another person and share what's on your heart or what's on your mind. Generally, this is about being open, being romantic, being idealistic, being hopeful, being creative. It can mean that there are messages coming in about emotional connections or romantic connections as well. And generally, this is a card of like positive things. It means that there is some sense of feeling emotionally fulfilled or excitement revolving around your relationships that are going to be starting up. Followed by the King of Wands. So this is the element of fire. This can be involving a Sagittarius, a Leo, or an Aries. The King of Wands that is facing the Knight makes me feel like this might be about you making some big decisions about how you feel about another person and like telling somebody about this and like seeing where the chips fall. The King of Wands can also be talking about your creative desires. It can be talking about, if you're in the creative field, if you're feeling inspired and that you're taking a new direction with what you're doing when it comes to your professional life. It means that there may be opportunity to collaborate with other people as well. So, the King of Wands is a card that is very much associated with career. Not so much like production and like long-term goals like the Pentacles, but the King of Wands can be somebody who's very entrepreneurial. So it can indicate that you're feeling inspired to go in a different direction, either with your relationships or with your professional life, and being a little bit more creative and taking a chance or taking a risk. So much of the Knight of Cups in the current position for me feels like it's about being in a state of feeling inspired and like tapped in, letting your intuition be your guide. Opportunities obviously for better self-expression, creativity. But I'm feeling like it could very much be about relationship opportunities that are setting up between you and another person. And the beginning process with the Knight of Cups coming up is just getting to know somebody, or maybe starting to kind of emotionally connect. Now, if you are in a relationship, it can mean that there is a sense of growing together more so, maybe going on trips together and doing something that can allow you guys to be more adventurous in your relationship. And it can be about like a renewal, because the King of Wands can be about feeling more so physically connected, more creatively connected, feeling inspired, having the room for feeling a little bit more adventure. So I'm wondering like how this might apply to your life, but a lot of support coming from other people right now. And I think that the key here is to be more open to talking about your feelings and your intuition, and like letting other people kind of rise to the occasion and better support you. Huge themes with planets going through Libra. I mean, just being a Libra in general, you know, the solar eclipse in Aries could have or should have brought new people into your life. So you're going to see that through the completion of the eclipse with this oncoming full moon that we're going to have in Aries in just a few weeks. So if you're a single Libra, it can be great for relationships. But if you are partnered, I think you're going to see a much more action-oriented, dynamic, kind of fierce, kind of feisty behavior from your existing relationships. And that can very much come through with the King of Wands, okay? Good luck. Might be about knowing how to navigate, you know, relationships emotionally, especially if you're finding that partners are getting kind of testy. Thank you guys, to those of you guys who are joining me. Let me see who else I've got here. So that was for Karen. Let me give you guys an updated list of who I've got. Okay, so we have Fiorella, Matthew, Kimberly, Aaliyah, Matt snuck in there, Amanda, Haley. We'll leave this open for like another 10 minutes or so. All right, so Fiorella, she says, what good things will happen to me from now until June of next year? Okay. I'm a Libra sun, Virgo moon, Libra rising. Ooh, you're in your Jupiter opposition. I like that. Venus in Scorpio. So you're finally done with Uranus in opposition to your Venus. So things calm down a little bit. But being that you're a Libra rising, Libra sun, ooh girl, those eclipses, watch out. Lots of emotional roller coasters. Let's take a look. So I think the key word for me with those eclipses in your first house and your seventh house with your sun being involved is letting go of an old identity, right? For Libra risings in general, Libra suns too, but letting go of an old identity would definitely be a theme there. I've seen a lot of people with South Node eclipses in their first house, they go through big physical changes, major, cutting of their hair, letting something, change with their style. Kind of just think of like a snake that's going through like a shedding of their skin. There's going to be a lot of letting things go coming up with these eclipses. And you'll be reaping the rewards of that pretty much all next spring. So we've got 3 of Wands, 2 of Coins, and the 5 of Wands. So for me, there is like an indecisive energy about this. There is like a sense of being like, here I go, I'm on my way, I am going in a new direction, I'm initiating new things. Maybe I'm traveling, maybe I'm relocating, and like moving forward and being very optimistic about new beginnings. So when that card comes up, it's not about the 2 of Wands where you're kind of like, I could do this or I could do that. This is actually picking a direction and starting the process. So you're going to be starting something new is what it looks like. And it may require you to physically go somewhere. It might require you to like learn a new skill. It can also be about being in the moment more. I think so much about the Wands, because it's the element of fire, is being like right now. I'm doing this right now. So maybe you're pacing yourself a little bit and you're trying to get yourself to focus more on being in the moment. And enjoying where you are and not getting too overwhelmed with like what's coming in like in the distant future. 2 of Wands, 2 of Coins in the current position. So this is like, what's weird is like there's a lot of like I said, being indecisive. It's like, okay, I'm going. Okay, maybe not. Maybe I've changed my mind. And there's a lot of bit of like going back and forth before then getting to the 5 of Wands and there being some challenges. So first bit of advice I'd give you is be decisive, okay? From one Libra rising to another, that's not our best quality, especially if you've got a little bit more Libra energy in there with your sun being there. What works in your favor is if you are a Libra rising and you have a Libra sun, whole sign wise, it's in your first house. So it means that first and foremost, you got to focus on your goals and you got to focus on the relationship with yourself. If you have already made a decision that you're turning over a new leaf, you're starting new things, you're initiating new things, and you're moving forward, keep it moving. 2 of coins coming up makes me feel like there can be a bit of juggling, and whether that's finances or juggling your time, trying to reevaluate what's most important to you, what you value the most, how you can get the most bang for your buck in terms of like what you're selling and how you're able to kind of make a profit. It might require you to wear more than one hat. So there can also be a sense of being like, I have to do this and I have to do that. It's not just one position. You're having to fill more than one. And you can get your hands full here. So it is possible that there can be a sense of feeling like you're getting to a point where you can't do everything. I think that's also stemming from Saturn and Pisces. So if you have Saturn going through your whole sign 6th, it's about learning how to better manage your time. And if you're not the best at something and you need to hire somebody to help you market something, organize something, launch something, great. It's about acknowledging that part of being your own boss is like learning how to delegate tasks. So you might be reaching that point in your professional life where it's like you need to bring other people in to help you, or there's like a lot more responsibility revolving around, having staff and people who can kind of help you kind of balance the load, right? And then 5 of Wands does talk about challenges, combativeness, fierceness. I feel like this is a lot of you going, okay, I'm going in a new direction. And then you start to kind of waver and you're like, ooh, is it going to work out? And then you can't get scared at the slightest bit of upheaval. That's my advice to you. Because it does look like there is going to be a little bit of upheaval, overcoming something. I think about eclipses going on still in your 8th house. I think about Jupiter being in your 8th house, having access to more money, more resources. So whether that's finally making money from your profit or getting loans or getting people who want to invest in what you have, I feel like that there's ways to overcome some of the challenges. You're learning to work with other people. And the challenge of being a Libra rising is having Aries in your 7th house, where other people can be quite combative, or they can be really self-centered, or they can be really reactionary. So you might realize that the process of working with other people is kind of like off to a bit of a bumpy start. And so much about the eclipses in the 7th house is about relationships, but Aries is to the self. So you'll notice that conflict comes with other people if you have been too accommodating, too understanding, if you've been a pushover, if you've been, saying yes to all of the wrong people and kind of putting yourself on back burner. So I could definitely see with Mars going through your sign over the next couple of weeks, there's a sense of realizing where there's like disharmony with other people because you're not putting yourself first. So too long, didn't listen, right? Between now and next year, really anticipate that you have opportunities for travel. I think this is going to be Jupiter going into your 9th. You're learning how to better manage your time and also your resources. This is Saturn in your 6th and also Jupiter going through your 8th. And then you're going to see that there's going to be some challenges and some combativeness, and there can be a little friction with relationships or collaborating with other people. Don't let a little bit of friction scare you from moving forward in relationships or partnering with other individuals. To some extent, you're learning to let go of old versions of yourself and embrace relationships, even if that means that it gets a little feisty, a little fresh from time to time. I hope that's helpful for you. Good luck with your business. What kind of a fashion business are you starting? Are you designing? Are you importing? What are you doing? That's really good if you've got Libra Sun, Libra Rising. I like that. Especially selling online, right? Jupiter rules your 3rd. Jupiter's going into your 8th. That's great for what you're doing. We'll leave it open for 5 more minutes. 5 minutes. Okay, so we've got Matt, Kimberly, Leah, Matt Powers, Amanda, Haley, Vanessa snuck in there again, and then we got S. Todman. All right. So let's take Matthew. Matthew must be psychic. Matthew V. Taurus sun, Libra moon, Cancer rising. The ex is a Virgo sun, Aries moon, Sag rising. Yuck. We didn't take enough time to just be friends first, kind of rushed into it, but care for him. Okay, let's take a look. So Matt says, my boyfriend broke up with me earlier this week. It was very sudden and abrupt. He wants to still be friends, and we have plans that we haven't done together yet. How should I navigate this? Well, being a Cancer rising and the Pluto through your 8th house is still majorly transforming relationships. Virgo sun, Aries moon, Sag rising. That's a difficult one, my friend. Sag rising, Virgo sun. They like to be in charge, you know? All right, let's see what the cards say, Matt. That's some difficult stuff with them having Saturn going through their 4th house of home and emotions. It's almost like a lot of work and career stuff can be coming up for that person, and they can be using that almost as like not like an excuse, but maybe, you know, the last couple of weeks with the retrograde, a lot of being like, oh, all these other things are getting in the way of relationships. Let's see. So what do the cards have to say for Matt in this potential relationship? How to navigate it? Okay, so I got it in this order. Obviously, them being a Sag rising and having like an Aries moon, a lot of mutable placement means that they're more flexible. So it's easier for them to be like, this isn't working, let's be friends, and like still, you know, trying to kind of like move with some of the changes in a less emotional way, right? That's just how those elements work. But being that you're a Cancer rising, Taurus sun, Libra moon, a lot of Venus energy, right, associated with your chart. So it's a lot of like, oh, but the love, the connection, you know, the emotion. So it can be very different ways of handling the potential breakup. These cards are pretty positive though, Matt. I have to be honest with you. 7 of Wands, the Strength card, the Ace of Wands. To put it very simply, I feel like it's about you looking at the situation going, okay, I'm gonna rise above this. I'm not gonna just like let this relationship go. I'm gonna try to put on my game face and be like, yes, let's still be friends. Yes, let's still follow through with our plans. Because you may feel as if like love will prevail, or that if you allow there to be a little bit of easing up, that person will come back around. That's kind of the feeling that I'm getting looking at the cards. Obviously, you know, lots of fire energy here, which means staying active, staying connected. There's still opportunities for physical connection if that's important to you. And 7 of Wands is about not backing down. So it might mean on one hand that you're like, don't be a quitter, things are getting a little intense and you're tapping out. But it could also mean that you're recognizing that things got intense very quickly, and you know, a Sag rising can sometimes be the bachelor of the zodiac. So there can be a sense of like, once reality hits in and that person realizes like, whoa, I'm kind of in a relationship, they can get a little squirrely. So the seven of Wands really talks about being like, I have the vantage point of the high ground. I'm going to stand my ground and allow myself to still be connected to them and see if they will eventually kind of cave. And the Strength card is funny because it doesn't talk about putting that person in a headlock. It doesn't talk about forcing them into a relationship. It's more looking at the situation and going, okay, I can either, you know, force this to happen, or I can kind of like welcome them back with open arms. So it's about not feeling like you need to force something. It's about letting them come to you on their own terms. So with the Strength card, it's about kind of like being loving and receptive. And, you know, I know you're trying to be strong throughout the situation. It might mean that you're trying to be compassionate and understanding. Maybe they've had an experience in past relationships where people weren't very understanding and people weren't very gentle with them, and they felt like they had to kind of assert themselves. And so maybe by approaching them in a way that they're not anticipating you to, you may find that they respect you more and they realize that, you know what, maybe they were overreacting, or maybe they got scared, and they're more willing to kind of come back around. This is the card that's also about, you know, it can be about love, and in a way that is loving somebody unconditionally and being like, this doesn't change how I feel about you. Obviously, I hope this can still be a thing, and seeing whether or not this can happen. Followed by the Ace of Wands, which is new opportunities, new beginnings. It is very physically charged. It can be sexually charged. It can mean that there's still a lot of chemistry there. So it might mean that you're like, yeah, let's be friends. And then you guys try to hang out as friends, and it's like undeniable. And inevitably that person ends up kind of coming back around. I think to some extent, because you still have a Mercury retrograde that's going to go down in your 7th house later this year around mid-December, there can still be a bit of like back and forth with another person. You're also going to be having an eclipse in your 11th house, which deals with friends. And I think that also can be really kind of laying the groundwork for like whether or not you're friends or you're something more. But that Ace of Wands tells me there is an opportunity for new beginnings, and that if you guys have something planned, if you have tickets to an event, if you do have a road trip planned, if you do have something planned, like it seems to me like going forward with it and keeping the momentum moving forward is good. And you might actually realize that there's a lot that actually really brings you guys back together, and that they may act on that as long as you're willing to kind of give them the space to come around. Very positive card. So I think the Ace of Wands can also be talking about the fire months. So maybe giving this until the better part of like Sagittarius season to see how this goes. But I think just knowing that you're going to have a retrograde right around that time, it makes sense that that's when you're probably going to make a more definitive decision as to whether or not you can stay with them or if you move forward. Okay? I hope that's helpful for you. All right, so who else do we have here? We got Kimberly, and we have got last call in about a minute. All right. Kimberly says, hey Candace, I'm heading to court on October 23rd, representing myself in something that began in October of 2016 and reactivated in April of 2022. What's my energy? Leo sun, Scorpio moon, Pisces rising. Ooh, returning to court with a Mercury retrograde in your 7th. Wowzers. All right, so let's take a look. I think about how the North Node is moving for your 2nd house, which can be about finding your firm footing, getting money that's owed to you, defending yourself. 2nd node, 2nd house Aries. And I also think about the Venus retrograde that's been going on in your 6th, which can be also about like settlements and like lawsuits. So let's take a look. Let's see. So this is for Kimberly. Oh, one card. In terms of what you need to know about this lawsuit getting reactivated. Love it. The Empress. I mean, I think, you know, first of all, the Empress deals with knowing yourself, valuing yourself, putting yourself first, doing what's best for you, right? And whether that's your health, your mental health, your finances, your resources, like standing up for yourself and doing what's right. I think about a Venus retrograde that's been going on in your 6th house and coming to terms with like what is and is not working, and like perhaps maybe returning back to something if you feel like something is owed to you. I also think that, you know, being that Scorpio, Leo energy, it's very much the same thing. It's moving through some of the challenges in terms of relationships with other people. I mean, the Empress is an interesting card to pull in the outcome of a lawsuit, because it means that in theory, the way that you carry yourself, the way that you're presenting yourself, the way that you're going at this particular case is about doing what's best for you, protecting you, standing up for yourself, right? So essentially, this is a very positive card. It can also mean, especially, I don't know what the lawsuit is about. Sometimes this can be in relation to issues with relationships or employers, 6th house. It can be health related or things in regards to health related issues, 6th house. And I think about the eclipses in your 8th house about stuff that's owed to you and stuff that hasn't been fair, or money that should have been coming from a partnership or something that somebody, you know, failed to pay you. So it's all about how you're carrying yourself. It's all about the fact that you're doing this because you know that it's best for you and that you're in really kind of protecting and showing up for your best interests. And I think a lot of this is going to also be about how this is necessary to restore the balance, because the Empress card can be about what you're nurturing, what you're growing, what you're creating. And you might feel like something has almost felt like it's like left unfinished in terms of this dynamic. And that even though you let it go, it came back around and you were like, no, I know I am owed this thing, or like, I know this was wrong and I need to see it through. because the opportunities that might come from the lawsuit might be coming around, making it possible not only for you to get closure, but for you to be able to better further finance something that's going to bring you more abundance down the road, right? I hope that's helpful for you. Let's see, I've got some people that are saying they signed in. Who did I miss? So this is who I've got. Leah, Matt Powers, Amanda, Haley, Vanessa, and Stephanie. Thanks, Matt. I hope it's helpful. So yeah, I've got you, Leah. Don't worry. Let's see. Laura. Laura, did you put it under a different name? Because I don't see you. What's up, Deanna? What's going on, girl? I'll still take you if you want to jump on my list. I'll add you. Just let me know what your question is. And then Laura, let me know what your, if you made a donation, let me know what your name is on PayPal, because I'm not seeing you. Ooh, here we go. Somehow just connected from my laptop to my iPad. I didn't even know that was a thing. Thanks, Mercury. Laura, send me your email. I need to know what your email is because I'm not seeing it. Deanna says, I set a timer for this. Yes, please. I got you. Let me know your question. And then we'll get Leah, Matt, Amanda, Haley, Vanessa, Stephanie. And if we find Laura, let me know. All right, so let's see. We'll get these cards ready for Deanna. What's up? David's in the chat. Just a general vibe of the biz. I did a collab people loved. I've been getting my shit together in a practical way. How Capricorn of you. Let's take a look. Let's see. This Mercury retrograde has been really good for getting shit together. I used it to tie up all my loose ends. All right, so in this order, ooh, there's that Five of Wands making an appearance. Again, same position. We've got Nine of Swords, Ace of Pentacles, Five of Wands. This is a lot of, like, in my mind, letting money or financial concerns fall away and not feeling like you have to push so hard for something. You know, I think about like being a Leo rising and having the eclipse at the end of October, your 10th house, and that being like a really big turning point for your professional life, right? Conjunct Jupiter. So it's about having some kind of breakthrough in terms of your creative projects and getting recognition, getting paid, Ace of Pentacles. I think about how the Ace of Pentacles is sandwiched between a card that deals with stress and concern and a card that's about like really pushing something. And realizing that everything in due time, like you don't have to push things, like that some things are going to happen in a much slower pace or in a much more organic way, and that you're learning to develop a professional life that's about feeling like you're feeling grounded and there's pleasure and there's lots of resources and lots of abundance and that there are things that are there for you. And that is what Taurus is in the 10th house. It's wanting to work in a way that feels slow and on pace and pleasurable. So if it's bringing you stress, or if you're worrying about it, or if you're worrying about timelines, or if it's bringing you challenges or conflict or combativeness, you're like, I'm pushing it. Nope, hands off. So it's about paying attention to some of that stuff. I think where maybe in the past there is concerns about whether it worked or whether it didn't. Right now you're just kind of like, I'm just going to focus on what brings me the most pleasure or what I love the most, and that's what's going to end up being the most productive. Doors open for you when the Ace of Pentacles comes through. It's about new opportunities for money, new opportunities for resources, new jobs that might be developing, new businesses, and having something that people want. So I think right now it's about letting go of, maybe like sometimes this card comes up for people that are like, oh, I'm having imposter syndrome, or like, I don't really know if this is even possible. Like, what am I doing? And like you go through like the doubt spiral. And now maybe some of the physical shifts that have happened, some sales that you've had, some collaborations, some appreciation, you're realizing like, whoa, like this is real. Like I can do this. I have something that people want. Life does not have to be challenging. It does not have to feel like this upward battle. Like it is very possible to create something that people deem valuable and be able to do that, you know, for a living. I think that the Five of Wands coming up is just a reminder that, you know, there are still going to be some hurdles. You're going to have some hurdles. It may represent also feeling a bit competitive, or that there is a need for you to like stay on top of it. Like you don't want to lose your edge. Like right now with the Ace of Coins coming up, there's a lot of like riding high and being like, I've got this. And I think that that's going to continue. That momentum is going to continue into the fall. But this is about not like resting on that, like staying on top of things, like staying on your toes. And realizing that you have to kind of keep it going. So with the Five of Wands coming up, it can mean that you're feeling like, you know, you're constantly having to kind of push to stay on top of your game, and that there can be some challenges in kind of keeping up the momentum. I also think about next year, right, as Jupiter and Uranus are coming into conjunction. So you may have until about April, May before you're really flying solo. So I also think that the Five of Wands is about working through that and like realizing that it's not about a sprint. It's about like a long distance race, and you want to pace yourself to be able to really put in the necessary work and doing the quality control that you need to do now to really set that foundation. So if you really do want to be able to be completely independent in the spring, you're able to do so because of all the hard work that you've put in this year. So Five of Wands might feel like it's a bit challenging trying to do that and something else, and that you're going to have to kind of keep pushing until you get to that point. But I want everybody just to be thinking about, you know, spring of 2024, that's the jump off. Like if you guys think about what happened in August of 2022, North Node, Mars, Uranus all aligned, which means it was setting the stage in 2022 for 2 years down the line where there was the big pop. There's going to be a big like jump. For some people, it's where hard work pays off. For other people, it's where being too stagnant or too lazy kind of bites them in the butt. But for you, it'll be in your 10th house. So I do think that this is about you being rewarded and having some sense of freedom when it comes to your professional life. Just stay on top of it and keep the momentum going, okay? Hopefully that's helpful for you, Deanna. All right, so we've got Leah. What's up, Leah? I saw your comment here a second ago. She says, where is she? There we go. I'm here. Capricorn Sun, Moon, and Cancer rising. Capricorn Sun and Moon, Cancer rising. Okay, cool. So you're born on a new moon, 7th house. Okay, got it. All right, so Leah says, whatever message Spirit has for me, whatever this new moon is bringing me, thanks. Well, I like that new moon in a trine to your sun and your moon in your 3rd house. Let's see, so you had that. And Venus is in your 2nd house. So to me, it's about like trying to find ways to bring in more resources. Maybe a lot of reworking something about gadgets, communication, travel, where you're living. Let's see. So let's pull 4 cards for Leah. She wants to know, what is this new moon bringing me? What do I need to know? in this order. Boom, boom, boom. Justice, Ace of Swords, Two of Coins. I love that you had a new moon in your third house and you had a Mercury retrograde in your third house. Two very strong, transits revolving around communication and getting your point across and being able to like better express yourself. But for me, we've got the Justice card where you're weighing your options, you're reevaluating, where do I stand in relationship to other people? What's best for me? Is it best for them? And vice versa. The Justice card can be about having definitive conversations with other people about your relationship to them, what's working, what's not working. This can also be a cause and effect card. So it's basically saying like whatever's coming up right now is like some kind of karmic stuff. Obviously, the South Node is moving through Libra, so it's going through your fourth house, and I'm wondering, is this about karmic situations with siblings? Is it about karmic situations in terms of communication with relatives, with roommates? Needing to really look at things and go like, I've been too nice to people. I've been too understanding with people, and like it's not really working, or I've been too indecisive on something. So, the Ace of Swords is basically saying picking a lane, being direct, being very clear, not wavering. Two of Coins. So it can tell me that there is a sense of you going like, okay, I am going to have this conversation, or I am going to, start thinking of things in this way, or I am going to be this way in this relationship. And then there's still room for wavering, and you're like, what's going to happen if I do this? Like, is it, are they going to respond badly, or am I going to be able to stick to it? It makes me wonder if there's been a bit of like a wavering mind. And if you've been indecisive about something, if you've been indecisive about telling somebody what's up, or making a decision about where you're living, or making a decision about a vehicle, right? Third house, it could be that as well. I feel personally like something to think about is that the retrograde itself represented going back and forth. So you need to really think about what have you been going back and forth about really since last month? If you think back to August, what was the back and forth? Mercury rules your 12th house, right? So it's about a secret or something that's been on your mind that you don't want to talk about. Mercury also has obviously connections to the third house. So it might be helpful for you to meditate. It might be helpful for you to journal. It might be helpful to you to make a list of the pros and the cons. So you can get clarity about picking a lane, making a decision, sticking to it, so you don't feel like you're repeating these similar patterns of going back and forth when it comes to your relationships with another person. That's my dilemma. I have Jupiter 14 degrees in the third house. So yes. Okay. So essentially, if you think about the Jupiter transit, it's going to be basically about like timing or your schedule, right? Sixth house, or a health matter, maybe. It can be about a work matter, maybe. And Pisces, Jupiter rules Pisces in your ninth. So for me, the third, sixth, ninth house energy is about changes of things, shifts in terms of what you thought you knew, what you believe in, changes with your schedule, flexibility, yeah. But this retrograde's been really positive because it's actually been, in aspect to transit Jupiter. So it's been about getting feedback from other people. It's about friends that are kind of giving you advice. It's about the people who do show up for you and kind of like making a decision. So maybe wait until Jupiter starts coming back into a trine with Mercury. That's probably when you're going to make a decision. But if you're feeling stuck, write it all down, get it all on paper, right? And like write out the pros and cons. So that way you can kind of really pick a lane and kind of stick to it, right? Hopefully that's helpful. And obviously Ace of Swords in the Justice card. If there's some people that need to go, it's like snip snip time. So that may be happening. You may be doing some cord cutting. Hopefully that's helpful for you. We got Matt. Matt said, I'm gonna get a reading. more Libra energy in there. All right, Matt, let's take a look. Matt says, what do my guides want me to know about my health and anxiety, and what do I need to do to improve my love and sex life? Let's talk about it. Okay, so first things first, what do your guides want you to know about your health and anxiety? How is that Mercury retrograde in your sixth? I would imagine the trines to Jupiter were things revolving around self-esteem, grounding, eating habits, right? So let's take a look. So this is about what your guides want you to know about health and anxiety And then this will be about what you need to do to improve your sex and love life. That's pile number 2. All right, so this is boom, boom, boom. Oh, I love this. So the Magician, the Page of Cups, and the Empress. Here's a question I have for you. Is there something going on revolving around like the relationship that you're having with like a female relative? Has there like been much more of like a connection to your mom? Has there been like encouragement going on with like a female relative in your life? Let's talk about all the yellow in these cards. Like, I love to teach tarot. It's something that I've been doing for a long period of time. I always tell my students you can see a lot just based off of what's going on with the colors in the card. These colors are bright, which represents happiness, joy, creativity, life, fulfillment. So we've got 2 major arcana cards coming up. The Magician and the Empress. This is like really kind of connected to Uranus, and this is connected to Venus. All right, so Venus and Uranus have been in a square with each other. We have seen opportunities for expansion and contraction and expansion again this week. The Magician talks a lot about beliefs. It talks about creativity. It talks about manifestations. And maybe you working a little bit harder to be getting more so in touch with your spirit guides. Maybe there's a lot revolving around ritual and like routines and things that you're doing to be able to kind of bring ritual to your everyday life. Or maybe that you're trying to establish more of a relationship with them. This is a card about having support and having all the necessary tools to be able to manifest what it is that you want. This can be talking about working with like a much more masculine kind of trickster, creative, fun kind of guide. It might talk about you really focusing on getting in touch and getting in tune with your emotions so you feel like you're in a better state of manifestation and more clarity when it comes to your goals. Now, the Page of Cups can be talking about the beginning process of tapping in and working with your intuition. So I think this is also realizing that you can't really get into the state of manifestation until you're better managing your moods, your emotions, things like that, and feeling a little bit more so grounded so you can actually start to see things transpire. Page of Cups can be talking about connections that you have to a water sign, a relationship that you may have with them. In particular to me, because these are 2 kind of like magical beings, it makes me feel like it represents a masculine and a feminine type of like guide that's coming through. So one that's going to be more helping you with like magic and manifestation and, you know, trying to kind of help you get connected, while the other one is like more gentle and nurturing. But the reason why I asked about a relationship to a female is, you know, the Page of Cups and the Empress makes me wonder, like, you know, are you focusing on, you know, taking care of a parent? Is there a relationship with a female relative that's going on right now that, you know, they're giving you love or they're giving you support, or like they're trying to kind of tend to your needs? It could be vice versa. The Empress card coming up does talk about divine feminine energy. It's the energy of Venus. It's about nurturing and loving and healing and like caretaking. So if anything, my takeaway from this is with the Magician and the Empress kind of sandwiching the page, it's like your guide's going like, we've got you covered. You may not see us, but we're here, like you're supported. You just have to kind of lean into the feelings or the intuition to better connect with us. A lot of this can also be about working with divine masculine and feminine energy and like learning to channel these 2 within you and needing to know when to tap into your masculine kind of like assertive, creative side and when to lean into the feminine kind of nurturing, receptive and healing side. And I think a lot of this is also about exercises revolving around better taking care of yourself emotionally while at the same time working on your intuition. So pages are always about learning something new, developing a new skill or a new ability. So this can be about learning to trust your intuition, paying attention to your guides, looking for those messages when they come through to help better guide you in the direction of where you need to be going to find complete emotional fulfillment and happiness. Okay, but definitely, they've definitely got your back here. All right, so when we look at what's going on with the second question of what you need to know in terms of your love life, okay, it was in this order. So we got the 8 of Wands, the 3 of Swords, and the 6 of Swords. For me, I've seen these 2 cards come up quite a bit. 8 of Wands and the 3 of Swords reminds me of like the fools rushing in, right? It's a lot of like rushing a relationship, jumping into something head first, falling head over heels for somebody, moving too quickly. and not taking time to really pace yourself and like not protecting your heart space. So this particular combination of the Eight of Wands coming up with the Three of Swords tells me that it's learning to pace yourself and not going too quickly, not jumping into something too quickly. It might also talk about you being in a situation where, you know, you're kind of bouncing back after maybe getting your heart broken, Three of Swords, and learning to focus more on emotional security, protecting your heart before you're getting like physically connected or physically drawn to someone. You know, Eight of Wands is a sexual card. I mean, this is a card that deals with, you know, a lot of passion, a lot of momentum, a lot of speed, like moving very quickly. But the Three of Swords talks about the repercussion and almost like the damage that can be done if you're just kind of jumping into something without really reevaluating whether or not it's safe. So before moving forward and you know, connecting with somebody or getting involved with someone, like right now the Three of Swords is saying like it's about doing that healing work, healing and taking better care of yourself, taking care of any potential like heartbreak, dealing with wounds, you know, healing these wounds and being able to overcome situations where, you know, you have had some disappointments in love. Now you're going to be seeing with the Six of Swords coming up that like you're moving on to calmer waters. So you're going to have the opportunity to heal, release, let go, move on to the next thing. Perhaps it's about a series of like 8 weeks for you to move through this completely before getting to the other side and being able to heal. Because I feel like if you're trying to move forward too quickly right now and you haven't taken the time to really emotionally do the work, then you're going to find that you're just back in the same situation of being like, oh, I can't move forward. You know, it's hard for me to like let go or for me to heal, or I'm thinking about that person. And it really wants you to get down to the core of like what has gone south and really take care of the problem at the root. Now, also, I think that movement is helpful, right? So like Eight of Wands can be about energy healing. It can be about movement in general. It can be about you going, you know, in the direction of being more physically active and just kind of moving the body around so some of this stuff can kind of move through you. I think about like the retrograde in your 6th and the trines to Jupiter in your 2nd, and it's about getting on a stable routine and like feeling better about yourself and like improving on your self-esteem. So at least you feel like, hey, I am worthy, I am capable, I am good enough, like I can love myself. So you're getting to the next phase of being able to be open to somebody else again down the road. Six of Swords does talk about that in-between limbo period though. So right now you're still kind of in the healing phase. I do feel like moving around or, you know, energy healing or infrared saunas or heat or laying in the sun to some extent is going to help you. And what you're probably going to find around the time of the solar eclipse, and when planets are going through Libra, there's going to be opportunities to connect with like soul partners that come in to help you in some way, like get to the next leg of your journey. So you're kind of in a pivotal time right now where like the healing needs to take place prior to some of these people coming in and you having a better understanding of, you know, what actually, what's meant to kind of be in your life, right? Sending you lots of good vibes, sending lots of healing vibes. I hope that that's helpful, but it looks like you're well on your way to kind of working through this. And I would just say keep moving, because moving is going to kind of help you move some of this stuff out. And also the eclipse is on your moon. South node on your moon, that's just a lot of emotional clearing right now. I've had that transit. That's a tricky one. All right, we've got Amanda, then Haley, Vanessa, and Stephanie. So Amanda says, I'm a Cap Sun, Virgo rising at 29 degrees, and Taurus Sun. Okay, one of those has to be a rising, but that's fine. I recently went through a breakup with a Cancer Sun, Sag rising. Will he be returning to me, or do you think he has a new love? If so, when and predictions? Well, it seems like there's been a lot of like breakups for Sag risings. I think it's with the Mercury retrograde, honestly. Mercury rules their 7th and it's retrograde in the 10th, so a lot of them change directions in relationships. Let's take a look. So you're a Virgo rising, so little issues of communication with other people, right? You got Neptune coming up on your descendant. So let's see for Amanda. She went through a breakup with a Cancer Sun. Will they return? If so, when? There she is. says Cap Sun, Virgo Rising, Taurus Sun. So one of those has to be a moon, I'm sure. So we've got Seven of Wands, the Moon, and the Page of Pentacles. Crossed with the Queen of Swords as your confirmation. Okay, so here's the deal, right? So we've got Seven of Wands and the Moon card, which means like there can be a sense of you holding on, hoping, anticipating, you know, trying to kind of wait around, maybe hold on to the idea of this person returning, not wanting to let go, not wanting to let your guard down. So this can mean that you've been in a state of being like, I want to wait and see what happens. The Moon card coming up does talk about, you know, things going on that you can't see, stuff that's going on in the shadows. It does also talk about things that perhaps are being kept from you. And I don't think it's like secretive in a sense of other people. I think it's more about you looking at this going like, I really feel strongly connected to this person. I have a hunch or a feeling they might be back around. But the truth is like with the Page of Pentacles, that can mean that that person either returns and has very little to offer, or that you are learning to more so invest in yourself and not be asking for too little, right? It's like, please, can I have a crumb? Like realizing that you're asking for too little. Like the bare basics in a relationship should be given to you, and you're not getting it, or you haven't been getting it in terms of this dynamic. The crossing of the Queen of Swords tells me that you may realize either through talking to this person down the road or once you sit with this a little bit longer that your needs were not getting met in this relationship, that there was a sense of something missing. And like now that this person's gone, you could be looking at it being like, well, it wouldn't be that difficult just to like work your stuff out and come back. Why wouldn't they come back? It's not complicated. You know, I'm here. And then you're going to realize that there's a little bit too much understanding in terms of what's going on with that person. I would look into with your transits, Neptune coming into conjunction with your descendant. Even though you're a late degree Virgo, if you follow Placidus method, you know, Saturn and Neptune are still to come into conjunction with your 7th house cusp, which is going to be happening closer to 2025. But Neptune's going to hang out there for a while. So the challenge with that is that you can find with 29 degrees of Pisces on the 7th house cusp, issues with people, you know, having mental health issues, drug issues, you know, vanishing, not being completely forthcoming, having some psychological issues, some self-undoing patterns can be really, really challenging. And so the lesson is to really look at people with like a clear set of eyes, like no Neptune goggles, no putting people on pedestals, no going after people who are going to be kind of lost. Like you need people who are going to be, they got their shit together, right? You have lots of opportunities for relationships, though. You're definitely going to see this more, especially going into next year, March, April, May. But I feel like with this person in particular, that there's too little that's being offered to you. I feel like if you do connect with them, you're going to realize that they don't have the capabilities of giving you what you need. And to me, it looks like you really need better communication, and you weren't getting that because the Queen of Swords really demands clear communication and a direct understanding of one another. But the Page is like super selfish. It's like, no, what's best for me? Or like, you know, not being able to kind of catch up with what your needs are. So you can hang around, you can. It looks like this has been your feeling with that Moon card coming up. But I personally feel like I would not close myself off to other potential partnerships. I also would really recommend, you know, trying to be present with the fact that there are planets coming into your 7th house, which can make it really difficult for you to see people clearly. So you need to really thoroughly see people for what they are. You know, retrograde in your 12th house has been going on. So there's a lot of things kind of behind the scenes that's about releasing and clearing and letting something go. If the sooner that you're doing that, the sooner that you're going to be able to kind of get out of this pattern of feeling like, okay, you know, is anybody ever going to show up? And you're going to actually start seeing people take some kind of action in relationships. I would give this another lunar cycle. I think the moon talks about maybe one more month, and then after that's kind of filtered out, then you're going to possibly be able to kind of move forward and see if something else better is going to come along. Okay, I hope that's helpful for you. Definitely Pages and Queens are so difficult, right? Because you're like up here and they're like down here, and you kind of you're not going to lower your standards. Hopefully that's helpful. Sending you lots of good vibes with that transition. I've got Haley. Haley has 3 cards. She says, thanks, Candace. You're a legend. Looking for relocation advice and love advice. Virgo rising. But you're a Pisces. Virgo rising Pisces. All right, let's take a look. Well, Saturn's coming up on your descendant. And relocation stuff, that's going to come up. That's going to be like November going into December. You're going to have a retrograde in your fourth. And you're going to see Jupiter, Uranus meet next year. April, May could be a huge opportunity for relocation. So let's see what the cards say for you. Oof, there's that Queen of Swords again. There she is. You know what? I'm kind of the frame of mind that 2 aces can represent 2 new beginnings, 2 opportunities for you, right? So this is also talking about fall and summertime. All right, so right now we're kind of in the fall right now. So I would say first course of action is the right now and what's coming immediately. And I think that in the future, this is about you being like, okay, what do I think? What do I need? What direction am I going in? Like learning to get really clear about your manifestations and your ideas. If you're looking for relocation advice, this is kind of saying like, it's probably about going and sussing out some of these areas now. You know, the air signs or the Ace of Swords can be talking about like doing your research, talking to people there, flying there, like having a connection to some of these spaces before making a decision. But this is decisiveness. This is also contracts, leases, negotiations, agreements. We've got the Queen of Swords in the current position, which is really interesting because being a Virgo rising, having Mercury go retrograde, there's a lot of like reassessing, where am I going? What's best for me? Because Mercury's been in a trine to Jupiter in your 9th. So you've been trying to figure out, where do I want to be? Where do I see myself, right? And where can I kind of like rework things so I can be able to get to where I want to go? To me, it seems like it's a process, and you know, love advice is good in the sense of the cards because you've got the Ace of Cups coming up. So it is saying there's new opportunities, both in terms of how you think and communicate, what you believe is possible, right? The kind of moves that you're making, as well as relationships. But these are both new. These are both brand new energies. So I'm kind of getting the feeling that while you're really focused on love right now with the Ace of Cups coming up in the current position, could new relationships be presenting themselves? Sure. Likely, you know, at a distance or working your way out of something before you're going into something new. It can be challenging for Virgo rising right now because there can be a sense of some people kind of keeping it arm's length or not being totally available or not being totally ready. But the Queen of Swords is interesting because I think about Mercury going retrograde in your first house in opposition to Saturn and Neptune, and it's about you being like, screw other people, like they're going to do what they're going to do. I can't base my decisions off of other people or what they want or when they're ready. Like what about me? What do I need? So I'm giving you like the green light to be a little selfish right now and be starting to think about, where do you see yourself a year from now? Where do you want to be next spring? The Queen of Swords is about being assertive, direct, sharing her ideas, you know, writing things down, manifesting things, like doing research. And I think that something about movement as well as relationships go hand in hand, because you're going to see next year Jupiter, which traditionally rules your home and your relationships, will conjunct Uranus in the 9th. So it means that you might move for love, right? Somebody who lives somewhere else. You might travel and meet somebody, which prompts a move. You might move and then meet somebody. So they kind of go hand in hand, to be quite honest with you. And I think I would be more focusing on what is going to make you feel the most fulfilled, what's going to make you happy. How can you be focusing more on, you know, loving yourself and manifesting the relationships that are going to fit into the life that you're creating, and taking the necessary steps and telling people, so you're holding yourself accountable. I am moving, right? I am doing this, and being very direct with people about what your goals are in life. So if you do meet somebody, you can be like, look, this is my 3-year plan. Are you with it or not? Okay, great. It was nice to meet you. Or you might kind of cut through the bullshit very quickly and realize, okay, I can have a really great connection, and it can allow me to make some of the moves that I want to make through honesty and being direct and assertive. But new opportunities for both of these things across the board. So I would definitely be paying attention to when we're getting into, obviously, Libra season, and also when we're getting into Scorpio season. I think that's when you're going to see some real movement and shaking on both of these topics. Hopefully that's helpful for you. Haley, you got Vanessa, who came back for a second serving. What's up, Katrique? Welcome. Vanessa says, I'm back. question for me. I'd like to go back to school to further my education. Career, what area do you see me being most successful in? Thank you. Well, that's such a good, it's good timing for you because you're a Cancer rising. And so you've got North Node eclipses going in your 10th house of career. And you've got Saturn going into your 9th. So that is really great for education and job changes. So let's see what the cards say. Whoa. Well, this is pretty positive if I do say so myself. We've got the ace, hello, I'm still stuck on those aces. The 9 of Cups. So this is about wish fulfillment, right? So this is about being like, what is it that I want? Oh, okay, I can go after what I want, wish fulfillment. I'm gonna get exactly what I want. Here's the thing. The confirmation card that I got for you was the Tower. These could not be more contradicting. If you're asking me like, you know, what could I do? And I say, well, whatever you want to be, you can be. It's gonna require a lot of change on your part. I do think that the 9 of Cups is about really focusing on your goal and seeing it all the way through. I think the Tower is about some realizations where you're like, I never really thought about what I want to do that I've always wanted to do or what's going to make me the happiest. I've always just thought about finding a job or surviving or just getting by. Such a great time as a Cancer rising because, you know, Virgo's in your 3rd house. Like you can study, you can read, you can file paperwork and documents, and you're really good at these things and you're good when it comes to health and wellness. But at the end of the day, I really feel like you need something where you can be more assertive because you have Mars in your 1st house. You need something where you can kind of manage or be a boss in some way, or maybe get into a management position or get into something where you're working more independently or you're working for yourself. Aries in the 10th house can be very entrepreneurial. I think about, you know, Saturn going through your 9th house, and it can be about managed care or going and getting some kind of certification when it comes to being able to, you know, be somebody who manages other people. So whether it's their business or whether it's their finances or whether it's their health, I think some kind of management something would be really good for you because it's going to allow you to really apply some of those skills that you have naturally. But I think what's kind of the upending energy of the Tower coming up is you're realizing in order to do what you really want to do, it's changing everything that you thought that you knew about your work and your career and your life. And like, there is a sense of rebuilding. So I think it's going to be very different than the background that you've had. And I think Saturn in Pisces in the 9th house can mean that you can be taking classes or doing classes at night. I don't know if that's something you've thought about. And it might also be something connected to like your studies or your belief. There can be spiritual stuff, religious stuff, psychological things that can come up with Saturn and Pisces in your 9th house as well. So it can be something related to working in care that might be for mental health or working in care for a hospital, but it's working more at like a management type of level. But just be prepared to completely rework everything that you thought you knew when it comes to your work and your career. And look for the eclipses that are coming. You got an eclipse coming there. That's going to be in the spring of next year. So if you do decide to start some classes or something this year, you may be well on your way to seeing a career change as early as spring of 2024. Okay? Hopefully that's helpful for you. And definitely, obviously, Tower and like the 9 of Cups, you don't need me to tell you this, but like this is a no, you don't want to be a bartender type of combo. No, you don't want to be in hospitality. You don't want to be serving. You don't want to do anything like that. I think that you would be much better if you're getting into managed care. So I'm wondering if this can be taking you out of something where you're doing administrative type work and you're going further into being able to like manage floors or, you know, working with doctors or working with like hospitals and other settings where you're able to kind of go in. 9th house could also be sales. So that's another option if you're like, I don't want to do several years of going, you know, back to school. I wonder if you could go and work as like a sales rep or something for like a pharmaceutical company or for like a health company, and be going and working with doctors and practitioners and coming into those spaces and working with them because you might do very well with sales and Saturn in that house. Saturn rules your 7th house of others. So I wonder if there's like a background there if you've worked in the medical field for so long and you have a lot of Libra in your chart, so you understand relationships. So maybe it's a matter of going and like working with companies that are going to be working hand in hand with the medical field. Hopefully that's helpful. Yes, there's no bartending for you. All right, so we've got Stephanie Todman. What's up, Stephanie? Thank you for your patience. I appreciate it. Let's take a look. Let's see. She says, give me a general reading. You got it. Let's see what the cards say for you. We stayed with the sassy deck all night. And I kept saying we're going to switch the sassy deck, but we stayed with it. All right, so let's see what the cards say for you. Stephanie, we're going to give you a general reading. Oh my God, there's that card again. Boom, boom, boom. So I'm going to say indecisiveness and being unsure is definitely going to be the biggest challenge for you right now. I think about for you, you know, the Tower card coming up first is like it's like a moment of reckoning. Okay, so there's something going on where you're totally reevaluating and you're toppling something or knocking something down or like gutting something, or there's something going on where you're like, okay, I have to make a change, like there's no going back. So there's some definitive like big shifts that are happening for you right now. The Tower card can also be about Mars. Okay, so Mars right now is in Libra. It's going to be going through the South Node pretty soon. So there can be a lot of like come to Jesus moments for a lot of people about balance, about fairness, about relationships, about what is and is not working. So when I see, you know, you going, starting this reading with the Tower card, it's like, okay, there's some stuff that you're realizing like you have to kind of clear out. And it may feel scary. It may feel overwhelming. The Two of Swords is like almost saying like to some extent there can be turning a blind eye to things. And the Tower wants you to realize like some things have happened that you can't turn it away from. You have to deal with it. You can't just hide away from that. And the Two of Swords is like, if I don't see it, if I don't acknowledge it, it's not really a problem. So it's about acknowledging that there's an issue there. Like there can be a sense of some problems coming up right now where you're like, okay, I'm just going to put a Band-Aid on it and it'll be fine. And like, it could be a bigger problem down the road. So don't delay making change. We are in the season of change, guys. We're now 1 month away from eclipse season, which means we're all going to start feeling the changes right now, the next immediate like week or two. Two of Swords also talks about feeling indecisive or feeling like you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. And what I like about this card is that it does say that if you have to really reevaluate your situation and you're stuck, what does your emotions say? What are your emotions telling you? Why are you afraid? Are you afraid because you know it's going to be painful? Are you afraid because you don't know what the future holds? These things are normal. The water in the background is reflective. It's meant to kind of say if you put all of the details on the back burner and you just ask yourself, what are your emotions telling you? They may be telling you that you actually need to make this change, that it's scary, but it's going to bring relief. That it's, it's not clear, but it might mean that it's something that's going to be best for you emotionally. Increments of 2 might be coming up, 2 days, 2 weeks, 2 months. And then we've got the Two of Coins coming up, which means there is still like a sense of like back and forth. It can mean that if you wait too long to make a decision, that there can be financial implications, or that there can be a window that closes that could have given you some kind of support or resources or stability. I'm kind of feeling like right now you're realizing that something is not working and you're just trying to manage that. And you're like, okay, how much time can I build before this thing changes? Or how much longer can I stay in this place without having to rip off the Band-Aid? And I personally feel like with the confirmation card being the Seven of Coins, it's basically saying like you can only be in this space for so long, right? So I don't know what you're dealing with, but I do feel like making decisions that are going to be better for you physically, financially in the long run is the direction that you want to go in. Because if you have to make some difficult decisions now to get ahead of this, I would recommend doing it. Two of Coins can mean that you're getting, you know, kind of bogged down or burdened with some financial obligations or physical obligations, and it can have an impact on you also physically. And then the confirmation card of the Seven of Coins is basically saying like you got to take a risk. If you're willing to take a risk and if you're willing to plant new seeds, it can end up being something that can be really beneficial in the long run. So I look at this and I go, okay, maybe knowing that a job's not working or knowing that a financial situation's not working, and instead of staying in it, getting out of it and being like, you know what, I can't waste any more time. I'm gonna go and I'm gonna make a change that's gonna play out for me better in the long run. Out of work because of the strikes. So, you know, personally, the Two of Coins makes me wonder if you're reevaluating all of your options and all of the different ways that you could potentially get some kind of support, and that you may be able to get something, it may be minimal, or it might be something that you're only getting for a short period of time. But then you're going to have the Seven of Coins coming up, which is saying like, okay, if this is going to be something that's going to keep happening, is this sustainable? What else can I be doing that's going to be giving me support in the long term, so that way I'm not relying on a situation that may continue to keep having these upended situations. So personally, I feel like you're gonna have some support that's gonna come through. Two of Coins can be about juggling. So if you're not doing that right now, you might have something else that pops in, but still being conservative, with your resources, but also realizing that it's coming to a point where you're like, do I need to be doing something else? Because if this keeps happening and I keep finding that I'm in this pattern of inconsistency with this, even when work is good, even when the strike isn't happening, it's going to push you to be considering making money in a different way, right? And really utilizing your talent also in a different way, which could end up being really productive for you in the long run. So consider planting those new seeds. You don't have to get completely out of it, but it looks like you are going to start doing something else. Okay. Sending you lots of good work, Juju. Obviously, we just had a new moon in Virgo, so that's really good for setting intentions revolving around like new work that's coming in. Just don't wait too long, right? Hopefully that's helpful for you guys. I think we got everybody. Yeah, we got everybody. And to those of you guys who I missed, I saw Mitch, you just got in here. We'll be back here next Friday. We're going to be doing live astrology readings. So you guys can catch me here Fridays at 5 o'clock p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. I'm going to be back here on Sunday. We're going to be talking all about the astrology for the week ahead. We're going to unpack the fall equinox chart. We're going to take a look at the sun's ingress into Libra and what that means for the rest of the season. And kind of break that down a little bit. So I hope you guys join me. And if you guys want to book a personal reading with me, or if you want to see my courses, I teach tarot, I teach astrology, I have all kinds of goodies on my website. Head over to my website at beyondtheveiltarot.com. And it's not too late to sign up for that webinar on Sunday. It's all about the eclipses. If you guys want to get in there and sign up, I'd love to see you there. Otherwise, I will see all of you guys very soon. Thanks for spending your Friday night with me. I appreciate it, and I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your weekend. Take care.